I don't believe in having kids. Not because I'm some rebellious contrarian. Not because I want to live some carefree existence of late-night takeout and shallow conversations about TV shows I don't even care about. And not because I think the planet is ending tomorrow. I don't believe in having kids because the idea of bringing another human being into this world feels like one of the most selfish, blind, and arrogant things a person can do. People parade around with their pregnancies like badges of virtue, as if their decision to reproduce somehow grants them moral superiority, as if continuing a bloodline that nobody asked to be a part of is some grand accomplishment. We celebrate it. Baby showers, gender reveals, endless social media posts about the journey of motherhood or fatherhood, all masking what it really is, a decision made by two flawed, traumatized, confused people to create a life that never consented to be. Here, every person you see was forced into existence. And for what? To pay bills, to clock into jobs they hate, to have their hearts broken, to grow old in a decaying world that keeps getting louder, colder, and more indifferent by the day. The world has become this endless loop of noise, war, corporate greed, artificial connection, and performative empathy. And every child born into it is just another body for the machine to grind down. Another consumer, another digital profile, another eventual corpse. Parents like to tell themselves they're creating life for the beauty of it, for love, for legacy, for the supposed miracle of watching a tiny version of themselves stumble through the same pointless rituals they did. But it's not about that. It's about control. It's about ego. It's about the subconscious terror of mortality and the desperate need to leave something behind, as if their genes, carrying on through another set of lungs and eyes, will somehow make death less final. People have kids because they're scared to be alone, scared to be forgotten, scared to admit that their lives never had meaning in the first place. They want someone to mourn them when they die, someone to call them mother or father, as if those titles grant their existence some weight in a universe that couldn't care less. And the cruelty of it all is that the child, this unasked for participant, will grow up and face the same empty questions, the same betrayals, the same existential dread, eventually becoming another adult who might, out of loneliness or delusion or pressure, decide to repeat the cycle. And what a cycle it is. Birth, brief wonder, conditioning, suffering, numb acceptance, death. That's the pattern we've convinced ourselves is noble, is sacred, is natural. And the ones who refuse to participate are treated like something's wrong with them, like they're broken for seeing the game for what it is. You get called bitter, cynical, selfish, for choosing not to inflict the weight of life on another human being. The irony is staggering. People tell you you'll change your mind, that you'll regret it, that you'll be alone when you're old, as if loneliness isn't already baked into the human condition, as if being surrounded by people you created out of fear somehow mutes the silence of existence. They tell you it's different when it's your own, that there's joy in watching them grow, that there's hope in their eyes. But what hope? The hope of being another cog in a system designed to drain you. The hope of inheriting a planet, choking on the waste of previous generations. The hope of living through more wars, started by people too rich to care about the consequences. The hope of endless social comparison, digital surveillance, rising rent, disappearing empathy, performative politics, and meaningless distractions, until you eventually die of a disease you can't afford to treat. To bring a child into this world is to throw them into a rigged game with no exit, where the best you can hope for is to stay distracted long enough to forget you're playing. And if you do it because you think your child will be different, that they'll somehow fix the world, or find happiness where you couldn't, you're lying to yourself. The world breaks everyone. Some people just hide it better than others. Every so-called success story is another person playing pretend, chasing money, validation, or numbness. And we clap for them because we're desperate for examples that life might still be worth it, but it never really is. Not in the way we romanticize it. Not in the way the movies and poems and love songs pretend. Having a kid is gambling with someone else's consciousness. You are deciding for them that life is worth the cost, that the inevitable heartaches, failures, humiliations, and slow decay of age are justified by the brief flickers of warmth and connection they might stumble upon. You are choosing their suffering, and most people don't think about it. They don't consider the weight of that choice. They focus on the baby pictures, the first steps, the imagined conversations, the holidays, the sense of belonging. But what about the night your kid's heart gets broken? What about when they realize death is permanent? When they have to watch their friends die? When they get fired from a job they needed to survive? When they feel alone in a crowded room? When they're so crushed by the indifference of the world they can't get out of bed? When they wish they'd never been born? You chose that for them. And for what? Because you were bored. Because your parents expected it. Because you wanted to feel important. Because you needed someone to take care of you when you're old. It's never about the child. It's always about the parent. Every birth is a decision made by someone else's ego. And then there's the planet, the slow-motion apocalypse we're all pretending isn't happening. Rising temperatures, vanishing species, polluted air, poisoned water, collapsing economies, wars for resources, the normalization of surveillance, the death of privacy, the commodification of attention. And yet, every year, millions of people willingly drag new lives into this collapsing reality, convinced their kid will be okay, convinced it'll be different by the time they grow up, convinced it's someone else's problem. It's staggering how casually people create life in the face of extinction. It's staggering how little people question the scripts handed to them. Go to school, get a job, get married, have kids, grow old, die, and anything that deviates from that is labeled failure, dysfunction, mental illness. It's all a performance. And the ones who opt out are shamed, pathologized, or pitied. But I don't pity myself for refusing to participate. I pity the ones who think this is a life worth passing down. I see newborn babies, and I don't feel hope. I feel sadness, because I know what's coming for them. The betrayals, the disappointments, the slow erosion of wonder, the casual cruelties of other people, the loneliness of consciousness, the awareness of death, the desperate search for meaning in a world that offers none. And I know they didn't ask for it. Nobody asks to be here. And yet we celebrate the ones who force it upon them, like creators of some masterpiece that isn't a masterpiece at all, but a cruel, endless repetition of the same mistakes, dressed up in new technologies and fleeting trends. The world isn't getting better, it's getting faster, louder, meaner, emptier, and to bring a life into it is an act of staggering selfishness. To gamble a consciousness on the off chance it might find a few moments of peace before it's swallowed by the same nothingness that awaits us all, is something I can't justify. Not now, not ever.